Part 52. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 511. The steward quickly handed Jin Shixuan's information to Zhang Jingfeng. Zhang Jingfeng couldn't sit down when he saw half of it. It's them. One is called Tian Rong, who is actually Tian Firong, the other is Hu Cai, nicknamed Fatty, but he is actually Hu Yk. Did you find that they have already set off for Dangxian City? Hurry up and send someone to meet them, so as not to lose the chain at the last moment. Yes, young Master Zhang, this subordinate will send someone over here. The steward hurriedly went out to arrange staff. Zhang Jingfeng also hurried to Gu Yao's side to tell them the news. He didn't expect that the person he was looking for was right under their noses. In order to avoid attracting the attention of Ling Zhou, many partners, Zhang Jingfeng, did not reveal the identity of Dingxian Pavilion to them, but they missed the opportunity to know the truth in advance. If he had revealed his identity early in the morning, the relationship between him and Gu Yao would have spread throughout the spiritual world, and Jin Shixuan's two bosses would have come to the door and asked them to help contact Gu Yao. Yin and Yang are wrong, it is really wrong. Fortunately, there is no accident under the nose. When Zhang Jingfeng came over, he happened to meet Xiang Yudan. Gu Yao and his party came in a high-profile manner, so it can't be a secret where he stayed. As long as he inquired, he would know, so Xiang Yudan came over, but because he is Dan the disciple of the pavilion was stopped by Lai Hu. You must know that these alchemists in Lingzhou are not pleasing to the eye. At this time, they came to find ancient alchemists. Who knows what they are thinking? Seeing Lei Hu interrogating Xiang Yudan, Zhang Jingfeng couldn't help laughing, and stepped forward to help explain a thing or two. Then Lei Hu rubbed his head and pretended to laugh silly. It turns out to be a friend of the ancient alchemist. I misunderstood it? Xiang alchemist, Lei Hu is offended, please come in. This innocent appearance made people angry and could not get angry. Xiang Yudan said that it was okay to go in with Zhang Jingfeng. After the people left, Lei Hu said, so it turns out that there are some different alchemists in Lingzhou. He was so embarrassed by other people that he shrugged. Xia Yuans came over and said, you should tell Alchemist Gu first, whether you see anyone or not, it should be decided by Alchemist Gu, don't make your own decisions. I know, Lei Hu replied with a guilty conscience. He was in a bad mood when he saw the alchemist of Lingzhou. After seeing Gu Yao, Zhang Jingfeng didn't care to be rude to Yudan, and first told Gu Yao and Qi Changjai the news of Jin Shixuan. Sure enough, Gu Yao, who got the news, was overjoyed. Yes. Today we passed by over the city. I sensed a familiar aura, it really wasn't an illusion, they were here. Brother, yeah, why don't we go for a run? Zhang Jingfeng hurriedly said, no hurry, the two bosses have already set off for Dangxian City, and I also asked people to greet you halfway. Presumably it was the two bosses who saw your battle and came after you. Already? Yes, it must be like this. Gu Yao walked back and forth in the hall with joy. After so many years of separation, they are finally going to meet again. It is said that they and Tian urge Fatty, but they came out together from Tianlin continent, and now I know how can they not be happy that they are safe and sound. Qi Changjai patted Gu Yao's shoulder with joy on his brows. Wait patiently, we should be able to see you today. Young Master Zhang, please let us know if you have any news. Okay, definitely. Zhang Jingfeng then left the space for Xiang Yudan, who came to visit Gu Yao, folded his fists and walked out. Xiang Yudan talked with Gu Yao for a while, and Gu Yao was infected with the bubbles of joy all over his body, so he left those troubles behind and was sincerely happy for Gu Yao, because after listening to Gu Yao, this is an old friend and family who entered the practice together, and it is not a big joy to meet again in the spiritual world now. In addition, Gu Yao was not affected by the public opinion of Dangxian City, so Xiang Yudan didn't say much, and left his contact information. After Gu Yao got together with his friends, he would come to visit him again to exchange pill techniques. Ling Zhou basically held a demeaning attitude towards Gu Yao's alchemy technique. Even the alchemist who knew the inside story had never refuted the statement for Gu Yao, and even pushed it behind his back. When Xiang Yudan left the inn, he couldn't help thinking, what's the point of this? Could it be that Gu Yao's alchemy technique will be affected and decline? When the alchemy is officially opened on the competition stage, won't all the truth be revealed? Lei Hu and Xia Yuan's were also happy for them when they learned that Gu Yao's old friend was coming. Tian Furong and Fatty, who were also on their way, were extremely excited, and they would see Gu Yao and brother Qi soon. Wan Luo continent, no, it's been so many years. If it weren't for the countless experts in the spiritual world, the state is far from each other, and there will be countless dangers on the way. They would have left Lingzhou for Bizhu long ago. Gu Yao and Qi Changjai were in Bizhu before, who would not know in the spiritual world. Fortunately, Gu Yao and the others are here. On the way, they also met fellow travelers, and they went to Dangxian City to watch the excitement. Have you seen how alchemist Gu Yao played before? This battle alone has compared many alchemists, haha, it's exciting to watch. When Tian Furong and Fatty heard it, they were very proud, and their waists were straight. That's right, Jiangxiu is the coolest, not to mention more than 20 Jiangxiu dispatched together and left Bizhu, which is rarely seen in other places. Let's make a tidy battle. This shows that Master Gu Yao's alchemy skills are very good, otherwise, why would the disciples of the famous sects come out to him? It makes sense for you to say that, but I heard others say it's because Bizhu lacks good alchemists, so they pay special attention to it. You know, those sword cultivators are cool, but they have little oil and water on their bodies. I can't help you. The alchemist of Lingzhou. They gossip with their companions along the way. Tian Furong and Fatty are thinking of ways to rectify Gu Yao's name, and they have become Gu Yao's stubborn fans. This makes the fellow Lingzhou natives cast strange eyes on them both. Is this guy from Lingzhou? Suddenly there was a slight vibration in the space ahead, and Fatty and Tian Furong jumped out. No, someone is intercepting halfway, everyone be careful. What? Someone dares to do something outside Dangxian City? Aren't they afraid of being held accountable by Dangxian City? They have blocked this space. Unless the space is broken, no one will be able to find out what's going on here. Fatty, who was studying more and more tactics, his expression became cold. This was too strange. It is said that no one dares to make trouble at such a time. Even if the space is blocked, there should not be too many teams going to Pill Immortal City during this time. It is inevitable that there will be monks with high cultivation levels who find the anomaly here, so the people who do it are so unscrupulous. Fatty and Tian Furong glanced at each other. The two of them had acted cautiously for so many years, and they were unusually alert to danger. They had an intuition that this matter was probably aimed at them. Concentrate on breaking their blockade first, and do it, Tian Furong shouted, and Fatty took the lead. The two have invested most of their energy in formation techniques and equipment techniques over the years. The results are not only those auxiliary formation plates and equipment, but self-defense is the most important thing. Here they can only rely on their own strength. Equipping yourself to the best is the best policy. So as soon as the two of them moved, more than a dozen bursting array discs and a one-time blasting magic weapon were shot, specifically bombarding a weak point in the block space, and suddenly there was a roar in this space, and the air waves raised made other monks almost flew out. Fortunately, they were prepared. They also agreed with Tian Furong and Fatty's strategy. As long as they break through the space blockade here, the movement here will be exposed. If you don't believe that the monks who have not passed by will come to check, if you don't believe that the guys behind them still attack them recklessly. The spirit talismans and the spirit tools and treasures took action one after another, and joined the bombardment together. Tian Furong's fighting awareness and reaction power were far beyond the expectations of the behind the scenes. They were discovered just after the space blockade was set up. They were caught off guard and only listened to the void. There was a bad voice in the middle, the band formation was shattered like a glass of glass, and the fierce air waves swept out with a stronger attitude. Chong chong. Rush out, don't let them react and block it again. With a big wave of his hand, Tianfirong pulled the fat man and rushed over there. At the same time, protective equipment and formation plates were constantly being superimposed on them. Stop them, quick. Sure enough, someone was intercepting them outside, and when they heard the voice, Tianfirong and the others didn't need to give orders, and the fellow monks couldn't wait to rush over. The roaring sound was loud enough, and the cultivator's spiritual sense was already sensitive, and the cultivators who were on their way all cast their gazes at him. Wouldn't anyone be so stupid to fight near Dangxian City? Go and see, who is so bold and dare to break ground on Tai Sui's head. That being said, in fact, they all went with the mentality of watching the excitement. The team that Dingxian Pavilion came to greet was personally led by Wei Wei. After he learned about this, he took the initiative to invite Ying, and the others were eager, but they didn't take it seriously. The road from the deputy city to the main city is not far away. And including the vice city, is the direct management area of Dangxian City, and it is also a big event. No one dares to make trouble, so I should come out to relax. But halfway through the road, I would hear explosions and fighting sounds coming from the front, and the violent fluctuations in the aura made it impossible to pretend to be blind. Wei Wei's brows twitched, and he immediately ordered, "Quicken your speed and rush over to have a look. This road is the only way to get to the main city from the sub-city over there." "Yes, Senior Wei." When the group rushed to the center of the fight, they saw a group of unknown monks besieging more than a dozen loose cultivators, and they took a closer look. "Yes, hurry up and save people, don't be merciful." Wei Wei's pupils also shrank suddenly, but it was such a coincidence that the person they were going to pick up was actually besieged halfway. "What's going on?" The hostility in his eyes spreads out. "These guys who don't have long eyes are courting death. Brothers, come on. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband." Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 512. Tianfirong and his party, who were at a disadvantage, were beaten furiously, and he and Fatty were the key targets of these guys, and it was impossible to say that they were not coming at them. The cultivator clearly knew the bottom line of them, so when he rushed out, he showed weakness in the confrontation, forcing Tianfirong not to keep the secret, so he used Qingjian. As soon as Qingjian came out, someone on the opposite side shouted, "It really is a strange fire, don't let this guy run away, what you want is this guy. Looking for death. Even if you die with you, you can't get Qingjian. Qingjian is in the sky, go." Blue flame burst, burst. The sky-filled Yu Yan blocked the pedestrian for a while, and as soon as Yu Yan came out, Tianfirong's combat power instantly increased a lot. With the explosion of Qingjian, the cultivator who unfortunately collided head-on was instantly surrounded and swallowed by Qingjian, and the cultivator's screams came from within Qingjian. When Wei Wei saw this scene, he secretly called out a good guy. Sure enough, it is not a simple person who can become friends with Master Ancient Alchemy. Under the impact of Qingjian explosion, the cultivator's life in the early stage of virtual refining could not be guaranteed. When they rushed over like wolves and tigers, they shouted, "Tian Daiyu, Hu Daiyu, we are sent by Dingxian Pavilion Zhangshao to pick you up." "Great, someone has come to save us." "Everyone, don't be discouraged." The other cultivators were excited and almost thought they were going to hand over their lives here. Tianfirong and Fatty's eyes lit up. "Dingxian Pavilion Zhangshao? That's not Zheng Gaiao's partner, so it's because Guyao came to pick them up." "Guyao and Brother Qi know that they are here." "Great." There was a lot of momentum here, and the people who came to watch were also happy to add to the icing on the cake. They shot together. In just a few breaths, the situation was immediately reversed. In the end, of the dozen or so monks sent by the other party, only 3 or 2 kittens escaped. All others were killed. Although they didn't leave a living hole, they still left clues on their bodies. It can only be said that the other party was too careless, thinking that the foolproof action, whoever thought about it, ran into a hard stubble. Damn, let them escape, Fatty frowned angrily. Tianfirong patted him on the shoulder. I know what you're thinking, even if they didn't escape, this matter can't be covered, so I'd better reunite with Guyao and the others first. That's right, Wei Wei echoed after hearing their words. With the ancient alchemist here, you can rest assured that in Dangxian City, these thieves would not dare to do anything no matter how daring they are, otherwise there is no need to block the space before this shows that they are still a little afraid. Only then did Fatty and the others remember to thank the people who came. If they hadn't arrived in time, even if they could escape, it would have been a disastrous failure. Wei Wei waved his hand. This place is not a place to talk, so we should leave as soon as possible, so the group immediately set off and continued to Dangxian City. The monks onlookers are curious, who is the monk who is pregnant with Qinjian, and is it worth sending someone from Dingxian Pavilion to pick him up? Or is this their new recruit? Although Dingxian Pavilion was unable to intervene in the core business of Lingzhou, its reputation was not small, and no one dared to underestimate them. We didn't talk much along the way. Wei Wei led the people to speed up and rush to Dangxian City. Seeing Qinjian, he also understood what the latter was planning, and it was even more dangerous to expose himself to a strange fire in Lingzhou. Alien fire has a bonus effect on alchemy masters' alchemy. It can be said that every alchemist yearns for strange fire, especially in Lingzhou where alchemists gather. People with strange fire are more like a lamb falling into a wolf's den inside, surrounded by wolves. Wei Wei couldn't help shaking when he thought about that scene. At the same time, I admire these two people. This matter can be hidden to this day, which shows that the two people's hiding methods are enough, otherwise they will not be exposed until today. As soon as they stepped into Immortal City, the news of Yuan Yuhuo spread, but if they look at this strange fire again, they can't take it in broad daylight. Let's see what these two guys are. Origin: if it is a loose cultivator with no background, it is very likely that someone will be slapped on the road while walking. Tianfirong also looked at him with his eyes and consciousness. All the hair on his body stood up, and he scolded the gang of people who blocked the road and robbed them. Without them, it would be so easy to expose. Even if it is exposed now, he has to check it out. What is the origin of these people? They must be killed. With countless eyes and consciousness, Tianfirong and Fatty walked in with Wei Wei. In the inn where Guyao and the others were staying, the entire yard was wrapped up by Guyao and his party. So, what does this say? The cultivators staring at this line of discussion began to discuss, what are these two guys? Origin. Especially seeing Guyao and Qi Changjai coming to the door to pick up people. As soon as they saw Guyao, Tianfirong and Fatty opened their arms and ran over to hug him, but Qi Changjai grabbed them by the back collar and gave them to him. It was thrown away, but these two guys were not only not annoyed, but had a smile on their faces, but they had the power to transform into gods. They beat Qi Changjai several times, and Qi Changjai, a cultivator, also accepted it. The relationship couldn't be closer. It was only when the yard disappeared into everyone's eyes that they retracted their gazes, turned around and exploded again. Master, Master, Qinjian Yuhuo has appeared in Dangxian City. Really? Hurry up, don't be robbed first. Master, Master, the cultivator with the green flames and flames went to the courtyard where alchemist Guyao lived. Well, you don't need to send people, let's inquire about their origins and their relationship with that person. Okay, Master. Hurry up and report some useless news, Master scolded angrily, but he couldn't say a word, so can't he finish all these things in one breath? Let him be happy. Elder, there is a green flame and a different fire, but people went to Guyao and Qi Changjai in another faction, the disciple who reported it was more articulate. The elder who heard the news just stood up, and then sat back because of what he said later. Why is it so coincidental that I ran to them? Go and find out what's going on. This guy called Guyao is so evil? Where did you go? The higher UPS of Lings whose alchemy forces used to disdain to understand, but now they know his origin. How can they not find out about him? So they know that he has a lotus heart fire, and the alien beast beside him also has a black flame, and now he runs to another place. Duo Kinjian, is it going to turn the world upside down? This luck made the old alchemists who had never had a relationship with Yuhuo jealous all their lives. Otherwise, they would not have taken on the idea of Fenglai Jianzhuang's cultivating Gangfeng Guo. But they didn't care much. What about a bagpipe sword house? Even if they offend the sword sect in the entire northern state, with the support of other states, those sword cultivators in northern state dare to attack Lingzhou? All the alchemists who had dealt with Guyao almost chattered a silver tooth. When he received Tian Furong and Fatty, Wei Wei sent a message to Zhang Jingfeng, and Guyao and Qi Changjai also learned that if they didn't know they were safe, they would have brought other swordsmen to kill them. The sword cultivators were also extremely curious about these two people. They heard Guyao's meaning that they came from the same place as him, so they took a few more glances. Although their strength was a little weaker, they came from a place where resources were scarce. Forgivable, but judging from their bone age, this cultivation speed is not bad. Lei Hu was even more interested in Tian Furong. Because of that strange fire, Tian Furong didn't hide it from him. This was because of his special physique and the cultivation of the corresponding exercises. This strange fire was born and continued to grow. Yuhuo had long since merged with him, and without Yuhuo, he would be useless. Lei Hu patted his shoulder and said, "You can rest assured to live here. I see who dares to attack you. I will be the first Lei Hu to let them go." "Thank you, Brother Lei." Tian Furong climbed up the pole. Lei Hu waved his hand, and Xia Yuans took the other sword cultivators away, so that Guyao and the others, who had finally reunited, had a good conversation. The first thing Guyao and Qi Changjai cared about was who killed them halfway. "Do you think it's that stinky girl? Did she find something to get close to you on purpose, to act like that?" Fatty suddenly thought. Although he had settled revenge with the gang of flower-guarding envoys, how could they just rush in directly? Tian Furong's Kinjian came. Tian Furong also felt suspicious. Our whereabouts are all being watched. "Wait, I will ask the people in the store first if we have come after we left." Tian Furong immediately contacted the shopkeeper in the store and asked if anyone came to look for them after they left and inquire about their whereabouts. This question really raised a problem. Tian Furong almost crushed the messenger. "That girl has been to the store. Why is it so coincidental? She went to find us on the front foot, and we were robbed and killed on the back foot." Guyao raised his eyebrows. "Tian our brother, the peach blossom you invited." Tian Furong reluctantly said, "What nonsense, that girl has a deep scheming, playing a group of men around, vying to please her. You say that if she has no purpose, she will suddenly look at me, a waste and poor boy in the eyes of others. Thanks to her, Fatty and I had a bad time in the Du family's Lingzi garden during that time, and we were often stumped by her gang of flower guardians and other fellow travelers." Guyao said that with a smile, turned around and passed this important clue to Zhang Jingfeng, and asked Zhang Jingfeng to help investigate this Du family and Miss Du family, which is indeed suspicious. Right now, Tian Furong stood in front of him with a breathless body, and he couldn't see that Tian Furong was carrying a strange fire. This concealment method was really good. On the other side, the Du family. Father Du looked at the person who came back and said angrily, "Failed. How is it possible?" The people who came back also suffered serious injuries, and they came to report the situation without any care for their injuries. They were very embarrassed, but they insisted on answering, "There is a helper here," and they self-reported that they were by the side of Zhang Xiao, the young master of Dingxian Pavilion. The person who takes the lead is the fit monk. Father Du lost his voice all of a sudden, and the one with the highest cultivation level in the past was nothing but Liangxu. But after thinking about it and not being reconciled, first wave the person back, and then think of other ways. As soon as the man left, Du Tongtong opened another door and came in. She heard the previous conversation, and her face was full of anger. It's really useless waste. Dad, I'll go to Dangxian City right away. I was going to go too, just go over there to find out what's going on. Let's meet again. That's all. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 513. It is easy to find out the origins of Tianfirong and Fatty. The two have been in the spiritual world for decades, and many cultivators have known them, but their decades of experience are worthy of others' attention, that is, they run the business. Although more than one Jinshixuan store has opened, if it wasn't for this, who would care more about this store? These experiences are enough, but they can't be found out any further. The most likely possibility that these two people came from the continent below. This is also the biggest possibility that they can be involved with Guyao and Qi Changjai, that is, they come from the place was originally very close. Even if there is no such relationship, now that Guyao and Qi Changjai have taken these two into their shelter, can they still force someone to succeed? The two of them are not cultivators without a background now. The two big men, Blood Slaughter Monk and Sword Demon, made the alchemists hesitate. I have never found that these two guys are so hot potato that it is impossible for people to start. The four exchanged their experiences after coming to the spiritual world. Most of Guyao and Qi Changjai could be inquired outside. Tianfirong and Fatty were unknown people in Lingzhou. Before they left Lingzi Garden, they knew they have even fewer monks. Tianfirong and Fatty said nonchalantly, the experience of these decades is no big deal. Without this experience, there is no Jinshixuan today. I want to say that people's potential is forced out, and there is no such force in life. As soon as I force it, Fatty and I don't have these inspirations, do you think? Haha. By the way, if you don't tell us, we don't even know that the merchant who helped us back then was Dingxian Pavilion. If we had known, we would have met you earlier, but it's not too late. Those merchants saw us in the past and posted a little bit of information. CAI, thinking that we are not covered, has bad intentions and wants us to be a tool for them to earn spiritual stones, cutting off all our sources of supply. Without materials, what do we use to make array plates and utensils? At that time the merchants came to contact us, and the conditions they offered were completely within the scope of our acceptance. Anyway, if you don't cooperate, you will die, so you might as well give it a try, and it turned out to be a success. We now have Jinshixuan branches in the other 5 sub-cities. Before we came to the spirit world, we didn't even dare to think that we would be able to break out of such a situation, but without the help of Dingxian Pavilion, we wouldn't be able to develop. It would have been swallowed up by local businesses long ago, and even the development of Dingxian Pavilion in Lingzhou will be hindered, not to mention their small business. Good job, Guyao gave them a thumbs up and praised them. He was able to develop such an industry while farming for others. Guyao also had to admit that the potential was forced out, and Tianfirong and Fatty's abilities were also leveraged. Hey, you are far worse than Guyao. Fatty and Tianfirong looked at each other, a little embarrassed. Qian. False way. Just like this time, if Dingxian Pavilion happened to find out their identities and let them pick them up, they might have lost their lives. Moreover, the two of them also felt that they put too much energy into the development of Jinshixuan. In addition, in Lingzi Garden, apart from daily practice, they couldn't find time to take a good retreat, so their cultivation has increased over the years. It's limited, and knowing that Zhou and Yin Hua have both practiced emptiness, they are envious. Now that they are reunited, the two also plan to put their affairs aside, and it is important to improve their cultivation first. Originally, they were not at ease with whom to give Jin Shixuan to, but now that they know that their partner is Dingxian Pavilion, and Zhang Jingfeng has such a relationship with Gu Yao, they can safely entrust Jin Shixuan to Dingxian Pavilion. That's right, at least you need to divide it up a bit. Books. On the streets of Dangxian City, Du Tongtong and the envoys who followed her were almost blinded by the prosperity here. No wonder everyone yearned to come to Dangxian City. But the consumption here is also high. A few people had a meal in the restaurant. Of course, Du Tongtong could not take out the lingxi from a girl, but in order to try it, they ordered a lot of dishes that could not be eaten outside, and they felt distressed when they paid the bill. Now, if they come a few more times, their spirit stones will shrink significantly, and their family situation cannot be compared with the Du family who owns a large-scale spiritual plant garden. Tong Tong, the people they are talking about are really the two trash Tianrong and Hu Cai. Someone else robbed and killed them. They must have done something scandalous and got into the enemy's family, but they really know each other. The young master of Dingxian Pavilion. Although Dingxian Pavilion could not enter the core layer of Lingzhou, for their family situation, Dingxian Pavilion was no different from a giant, and even the Du family could only look up. No, they said that Tianrong has a strange fire on his body. How is this possible? Could it be that he stole it from somewhere? As soon as these words came out, there was laughter from the side. The speaker was about to become angry, but the others sneered. I really dare to think, you can steal it and see, not to mention how rare the strange fire is, it is difficult to integrate the strange fire. Is it okay, really? It is rare and strange. Others didn't want to bother with such a jealous monk who made jokes, so he turned around and walked away. The speaker stood there with a flushed face. How could it not be stolen? Just what is the ability of those two wastes to get a different fire? Du Tongtong also blushed, but she was very angry in her heart. The people who scolded and followed were all idiots, and she was also implicated. It was rare and strange for others to think of her, but before others laughed, they didn't see her making a sound, and she opened her mouth. Instead, there is a tendency to add fuel to the fire. Because these people still need to be used, Du Tongtong had to take them to a place with fewer people with a blushing face. Don't talk about it, we must have misunderstood Big Brother Tian and the others. If they can open Jin Shixuan, it is possible that there will be a strange fire. You haven't heard that they were sent to Guyadan by the people from Dingxian Pavilion. Teacher's place. Du Tongtong clenched her lips and bit her lips. She never thought that these two usually inconspicuous guys would have such a big relationship network. She would never have been so hasty to encourage her. Father killed them halfway. When the envoy of the flower protector heard that Du Tongtong spoke for the two wastes again, the anger he had just suppressed rose again, and all his anger was turned on the two wastes. Tongtong, don't speak for them, you are kind, but they what? Never told the truth. I want to tell you, since you know Tongtong you have embarked on the path of an alchemist, he should give up the different fire. Who doesn't know that the different fire is more important to the alchemist? If there is a different fire, Tongtong, you can join any sect you want. Fortunately, they learned a lesson this time, and only dared to transmit the voice in private, instead of speaking out in public, otherwise more criticism would be called. Du Tongtong only dared to think about it in her heart. She may not have thought so in her heart. She regretted her hasty actions before. If she had more time, it would be fine to hold Tianrong and make him the son-in-law of the Du family. His strange fire will be his own. As the people around her said, if she gets the strange fire, not only will the alchemy technique go further, but she can also enter the Tianyun sect, and those big sects must not rush to take her in. It was with this thought in mind that Du Tongtong didn't stop thinking about fighting strange fires. She didn't think Tianrong could find out who moved the hand, so she still had a chance. No matter how hard it is to find an opportunity, the strange fire is right in front of her eyes. How can she be reconciled if she doesn't try her best? Obtaining a different fire is a road to the sky for her. Don't say that. Yuhuo is important to everyone. Let's go find Big Brother Tian and apologize to him. What else did the envoy want to say? But fortunately, there are some people who turn their minds a little faster. If you want to find him, of course, you must find him. Only when you find him can you find a way to let him hand over the strange fire. Didn't he like Tong Tong? They just gave this guy a chance to pursue Tong Tong. Fortunately, Tianfirong couldn't hear their voices, otherwise he would have to vomit blood. How could he be attached to these brainless things? Which I saw that he liked Du Tong Tong, a pretentious woman. The group of people inquired about where Gu Yao and the others were staying, and they went there to find them. Along the way, their ears were still full of all kinds of comments made by others about the two. The of the scorpion was able to get into such a relationship, even though his brain was a bit disabled. He knew that both Dingxian Pavilion and Gu Yao, the alchemist, were the ones they couldn't afford to offend at the moment. Aren't these two wastes going to roll over and climb onto their heads? How can this be? Coincidentally, Gu Yao and Qi Changjai also brought Tianfirong and Fatty out for a walk, and Lihu and the others also followed. Dangxian City, aside from the rest, is prosperous, and there are more food and drink than other states. It's a waste to enjoy it. Especially here is where the alchemists gather, so the resources of spiritual herbs are also the most abundant. As an alchemist, Gu Yao, who likes to collect all kinds of spiritual herbs, might not come out and add to his collection of spiritual herbs. Tianfirong and Fatty are also pitiful. Although they have been in the Vice City for so many years, they rarely have the opportunity to step into the Dangxian City. Yes, even if you have spirit stones on your body, you don't dare to spend it randomly, and save it for cultivation. Tianfirong and Fatty were in a very relaxed mood, joking with Lei Hu and the others, but at this moment, an annoying voice entered their ears. Big Brother Tian, it's really you. It was a pleasant surprise, and it was clearly sent to their ears, but unfortunately the smiles on Tianfirong and Fatty's faces disappeared, because there are so many masters in the city, and they only have the cultivation of spirits. How can they release their consciousness at all times? So I didn't discover this line in advance, otherwise the two would hide from these people as far as they wanted. Tianfirong and Fatty looked at each other, both of them had stunned expressions in their eyes. It wasn't long before they experienced the robbery. How thick is this woman to find them? Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 514. Although no evidence has been obtained yet, it was Du Tongtong and the Du family behind her, but Tianfirong and Fatty's intuition told them that this matter was absolutely inseparable from this woman. Can't imagine. One moment before someone came to kill you, the next moment you met, you were so affectionate. The two watched the woman's performance coldly. Big Brother Tian, Big Brother Hu, it turns out that you came to Dangxian City early. If you knew earlier, we should hit the road together. By the way, Big Brother Tian and Big Brother Hu, are these your friends? Hello, I'm Big Brother Tian Hu. Brother's friend Du Tong Tong. As the woman spoke, she shyly and timidly glanced at Tianfirong. She looked like she didn't know where to put her hands and feet. Lihu, who always liked real swords and real guns, suddenly shuddered and subconsciously taking a few steps back. It made people suspect that what was in front of him was a high-risk biochemical bomb. Second Brother Tian, is this your friend and Fatty? Gu Yao came to the rescue, and he couldn't stand his enthusiasm, especially the men beside the woman who stared at Tianfirong with resentful eyes. The corner of Fatty's mouth twitched. I don't know when Fei Rong and I became Miss Du's friends. How can we two wastes stand up to Miss Du, don't you think? The latter words were deliberately directed towards those envoys who were protecting the flowers. Those people also showed very polite expressions on their faces. This time, even Xia Yuan's couldn't take it anymore, so he leaned against Liu to avoid being infected. There is also a problem with the brain. Brother Hu, it's not. Du Tongtong wanted to explain with a face full of tears, but none of the big men on the opposite side felt pity. Seeing this situation, the flower guardians couldn't take it anymore, and wanted to jump and scold Fatty, but Fatty didn't let them out, and sprayed back, "Nothing? Don't the flower guardians around you scold us both for yes? Waste. Didn't stumble us face to face and behind the back. No matter what excuse you make to find Fei wrong, in the end it's us who are unlucky. Look, you are such a bad luck to us, and we will have no good things when we get involved with you. If you are so kind and considerate, shouldn't you take your flower guardians away from us? It's really good for us. Miss Du, don't you think so? Look at the faces of the guys around you. If they weren't in Dangxian City, they would rush up to fight and kill us." Fatty originally gave this woman a bit of a face, because the Du family did have some power in the local area, and it was not easy to tear their face, but now the Du family has sent people to rob them, and he has to play patiently with this woman. Game. Brother Hu, that's not true, Brother Tian, you look at me like this too? How can you? Tears rolled down as she spoke. What a delicate beauty. Have you finished talking? Hurry up after you've finished speaking, annoyed Lao Tzu, and slashed directly with the sword, Yan Yuanjing said directly, and the air was cold. The few people on the opposite side, including Du Tongtong, were stabbed all over by the cold sword energy. Trembling, this time his face really turned white, but the tears couldn't roll down. The murderous intent that penetrated into the bones makes people no doubt that no matter what they do, the other party can directly draw their swords and chop them up. All of them are silent, and a few flower-guarding messengers jumping up and down happily. At this moment, it shrank like a quail. "Haha, Brother Yan is amazing," Tian Firong laughed abruptly, but it looked very strange. "Bro Yan, you are lucky. As soon as you came to the spiritual world, you were found and recognized as a disciple by Senior Sword Demon. It's up to you, Brother Yan, to be in the army." Yan Yuanjing said coldly, "Yes." This time, the fat man also joined the ranks of flattering. The group went farther and farther, but the sound of flattering horses could still reach the ears of Du Tongtong and the others, until the figure of the pedestrian disappeared, and they could not warm up. After that, a few people ran away in despair, and Du Tongtong didn't continue to act. She was shocked by the title of Sword Demon. In the face of other men, she could still use their pity and love, but she intuitively told her that the Sword the Devil disciple might have cut her down if she disagreed, and no one in Lingzhou dared to investigate the murder of the Sword Devil disciple in Dangxian City after the cut. Tian Firong deliberately pointed out Yan Yuanjing's identity to deter them, so that this woman could not continue to discuss them. Fortunately, Brother Yan had enough friends and didn't mind, so the two of them also blew rainbow farts with sincerity, making Lei Hu and Xia Yuan's laugh. I didn't expect Qi Changjai to have such friends, and their temperaments were obviously different. When Gu Yao and Qi Changjai left, they glanced at the upstairs window of the restaurant on the side, and then chatted and laughed with Fatty and the others, as if that glance was really just a casual look. But the two people standing at the window upstairs had ugly expressions on their faces. They were Kui Xian and Huang Ruyu's master and apprentice. Then it happened that Gu Yao and his party passed by the street in front of the restaurant. The scenery of him and Qi Changjai in Bizhu and the high profile coming to Lingzhou were mentioned by how many people they heard about it, and the more beautiful they were, the more it makes them feel uncomfortable. Their persistence in those days and everything now becomes a joke. Don't worry, they are now facing the senior leaders of Lingzhou, the second rank or even first rank alchemists of Lingzhou. They are too proud, Kui Xian said to the apprentice, but she also knew that even if the two lost, is it any different for them? They still had to endure in Lingzhou. Master. Huang Ruya couldn't understand why Gu Yao, a cultivator from below, had the courage to take on the entire Lingzhou. Why is this? And she just wanted to stand in this place is very difficult. The alchemists of Giwen Pavilion also came to Dangxian City. If they had the status of disciples of Lingyun Tower, they would be able to appear in front of them beautifully, making them regret abandoning their master and apprentice, but their current status is so embarrassing. After Gu Yao and the others went shopping, they remembered something. It was the two people they met during the day that reminded him and Qi Changjai that they had to visit a senior. Back then, in Giwen Pavilion in Huangzhou, Pavilion Master Wen helped a lot. I asked the people from Dingxian Pavilion to check it out. Sure enough, Giwen Pavilion was led by Pavilion Master Wen. I also knew that Pavilion Master Wen would not miss such a great opportunity. The disciple of Giwen Pavilion ran to Pavilion Master Wen in surprise. Pavilion Master Wen was reading a book when he heard the voice and looked up and smiled. What's wrong? What's the panic? Pavilion Master, do you know who is here? Someone came to ask to see the Pavilion Master. The disciple also whetted the Pavilion Master's appetite. Pavilion Master Wen laughed. Come on, although this Pavilion Master is not a remarkable person, he also has a few confidants and friends. Wouldn't you like us to walk around? Of course, when he said this, he was also guessing who would visit him. Friends and confidants are not so troublesome. The disciple wiped his face and said, I'd better say it, it's Gu Yao, Gu Alchemist, and his Taoist companion Qi Changjai, who recently gained fame. Pavilion Master Wen was also surprised for a moment, and then smiled. It turned out to be them. They have a heart, and they didn't bring them in quickly. Yes, Pavilion Master. The disciple quickly turned around and went out, thinking that Gu Yao and Qi Changjai were still from the barren state back then. If you say Giwen Pavilion, no one doesn't know that these two people, especially Gu Yao, were really the one who expelled Kui Xian at the beginning. The actions of the third-rank alchemist were too amazing, and everyone was of course curious about the source who caused this incident, but it was not long before the two of them made such a big reputation outside, and they felt incredible when they heard it. I think it may be two other monks with the same name and surname. Pavilion Master Wen and other Giwen Pavilion disciples live in the very eye-catching tower. Pavilion Master Wen's own level of alchemy and his dedication to training alchemists in the barren state are obvious to all alchemists. Because of this, Pavilion Master Wen has a good reputation among the spiritual world alchemists, and is respected by others, and drives the alchemy level of the entire barren state with one person. Gu Yao and Qi Changjai came to visit Pavilion Master Wen hand in hand. Naturally, they were seen by other alchemists. Some alchemists who were not very clear about their past were amazed. Duan Yuan. Those with a broad mind felt that although the alchemist Gu Yao was a little young and energetic, he still had many merits. He did not take their seniors down by his achievements in alchemy, especially with Wen Ji. The relationship with the master is good, and I plan to visit Pavilion Master Wen and take this opportunity to get to know this junior. Although many natives in Lingzhou think that Gu Yao's reputation is fake and not worthy of being compared with Lingzhou alchemists, they also have eyes and judgment. Gu Yao and another alchemist Su were in Anzhou and later Gu Yao. In Bizhu, they are not just hearsay, many of them have direct sources, saying that his reputation is false and full of malice. When they came to Lingzhou in the past, when they heard the various belittlings of alchemists outside Lingzhou by these natives, they were not unhappy, but on the overall level, they were indeed much worse than the alchemists in Lingzhou. So even if they can only endure being looked down upon, but this does not mean that they are willing to be in this position forever. Now there are people who can match the talent of Lingzhou's genius alchemist, and they are all willing to do their part to help him grow up. Hi. So Gu Yao and Qi Changjai walked all the way, and received all kinds of scrutiny, some full of good intentions, some with malice, much better than Gu Yao expected. Pavilion Master Wen greeted the door and saw the two handsome young men with Feng Shen and said with a loud laugh, "Shivi should be impressed for 3 days. This sentence is perfect for the two little friends. Please come in." Many thanks to Pavilion Master Wen. I haven't seen you for many years. How is Pavilion Master Wen recently? Is it okay over there in Huangzhou? Okay, all good. If you are free, go back to the barren state and have a look. Many monks in the barren state remember you. Pavilion Master Wen's eyes were gentle. Okay, both Gu Yao and Qi Changjai responded. It was their first stop in the spiritual world, and they did have a special feeling. Old Wen, I heard that you have a friend visiting here. Why don't you introduce us to know each other? A hearty voice sounded outside. Yeah, Old Wen, you can't hide your secrets. Another chuckled softly. Well, before the last two words were said, those guys with a particularly sensitive sense of smell rushed over to join in the fun. Gu Yao and Qi Changjai got up. Gu Yao said, "We are also worried about not having the opportunity to visit the seniors. It is our honor to get to know you seniors." Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 515. Pavilion Master Wen's eyes were full of admiration. He was optimistic about this calm and extremely talented young alchemist that day, but his growth rate still exceeded his expectations. Every time he got news from other states, while the Pavilion Master was shocked, he was also happy for this junior. Of course, it might not take long for the younger generation to catch up, and he even hopes that Gu Yao can surpass him in the future and grow into a leader among first-rank alchemists. So Pavilion Master Wen responded with a smile, "Where there is liveliness, you are indispensable. This time you are here, and I will introduce you to two heroes who have gone out from our barren state. Old Wen, you are too thick-skinned. When we didn't even know that Master Gu and his Taoist companions came to the spiritual world from other continents, but Yi Hao fell in your barren state, you can't be considered a monk in your barren state." Yes, yes, two little friends, don't be deceived by the appearance of this guy Old Wen, this guy is bad. Said that the two alchemists from outside had come in, and they sounded like people. They were not serious people. One was kind and the other was personable. However, Gu Yao and Qi Changjai would not underestimate them because of their appearance. Like Pavilion Master Wen, he is a second-rank alchemist, a Mahayana monk. After they came over, Zhang Jingfeng provided them with the collected materials, including the introductions of alchemists from all over Lingzhou. As soon as they saw these two Guyaos, their introductions appeared in their minds. Greeting the master of Wen Pavilion so familiarly, it can be seen that the introduction in the information is not false, and the relationship is extremely close. Pavilion Master Wen was used to being ridiculed by them, and he didn't get angry. You can't be considered a monk in the barren state, but he just went out from our barren state. You can't accept it? Come on, don't let the ancient alchemist and fellow Taoists see jokes. I'll introduce you to the two alchemists. One is Alchemist Tang, and the other is Alchemist Sang. Because they share similar interests and appreciate each other, this relationship has been maintained for more than 1,000 years. A few people started talking about Gu Yao and Qi Changjai and the upcoming alchemy competition. During the conversation, they took care of Gu Yao and raised some points. Occasionally, they talked about the customs of various states. The atmosphere was very relaxed and happy. When Gu Yao and Qi Changjai said goodbye and left, the smiles on their faces never faded. After the people left, Dan Master Tang said, "Let me just say, when I heard you mention a talented junior, why didn't you stay and teach him personally? Lao Wen, your vision has always been good. If he really wanted to stay in Giwen Pavilion, he might instead restrain the ancient alchemist." Alchemist Sang said, "It's not good if people don't know what's going on here in Lingzhou. They just went to this ancient alchemist and that mysterious alchemist Su, but alchemist Su and Master Su were secretive together. After the state, no news came out. Could it be that the alchemy of the ancient alchemist was passed down from the alchemist Su? The one who is related to the master is also the alchemist Su? Have you heard that the master of the Su was angry with the blue face thing? Danchi Sang's eyes lit up, with a gossip tone. Pavilion Master Wen and Danchi Tang, who were familiar with his temperament, would not know. He was even more interested in the gossip of Master Su back then, and even Guyao and Danchi Su himself were helpless. Okay, you don't know anyone in detail. Since you want to talk about it, we will give you this opportunity to tell us in detail, Danchi Tang said helplessly. So Danchi Sang gave a lively speech, as if he had experienced that scene in person back then, but God knows that he was born after a lapse of thousands of years. However, when I heard Pavilion Master Wen and Alchemist Tang, I also heard the key things. So, it was an alchemist in Lingzhou who made Master Su go to war? That alchemist was forced into a corner by Lingzhou. Died by self-destruction? Since he died by self-destruction, where did this Master Su come from? In their view, they all blew themselves up, and there is no chance of surviving, and they are completely dead. Dan Master Sang doesn't think so. Everything has an accident. I dare to say that for Master Su, he would rather betray the depraved way of Buddhism than give up the practice of that alchemist. After he was really forced to blow himself up and died, is it possible for Master Liao Su to let Lingzhou go? If we don't investigate all of them, the culprits will not be spared, right? Afterwards, Master Su was still able to hold his temper and guarded it for tens of thousands of years. It is the greatest love infatuation in history. What? Danchi Sang shook his head and sighed, seeing Pavilion Master Wen and Danchi Tang speechless. This guy's focus is often not the same as others, but after thinking about it carefully, what he said also made sense. Master Lingzhou didn't go crazy, then is it because he knows his lover is not dead? And one day to return to the spirit world? Contacting the various actions in Lingzhou, this possibility is too great. As for Danchi Su and Guyao's amazingly talented alchemy technique, it is a huge flaw. They have to admit that the alchemy technique inherited by Senior Dangxian is the best in the entire spiritual world. It is too exclusive, and it is difficult for outsiders to see one or two from it. Because of this, the Lingzhou Grand Competition was unusual compared to the past, and they still came here. This kind of open. The alchemy competition is the best opportunity to watch. How could they miss it? But, the anomaly of the alchemy competition this time is not related to them, right? What conspiracy is there in Lingzhou? Sang Dan came back to his senses from his sighs. Yes, there is a conspiracy. If you pay more attention to all kinds of historical records, you will find that the level of Lingzhou's alchemists is better than the original. Although the top-grade pills are still frequently produced, when 4 or 5 top-grade pills were produced in the earliest pot of pills, there would still be 4 or 5 top-grade middle-grade pills, but now 3 or 4 top-grade pills are produced in one pot of pills. The rest are either waste pills or low-grade pills. It has been known for a long time that the various factions in Lingzhou have mastered the secret method of refining top-grade pills, but the gap still exists. It is said to be a historical record, but it is actually a book of words for the boring people outside. Who would have imagined that the dignified elders of the town faction would hide various books in the pill room? Fortunately, this hobby is known to me, and it is determined not to reveal it. Pavilion Master Wen's expression became solemn. What do you mean? Danchi Sang cleared his voice, and the main event came. I thought that when all parties in Lingzhou forced Master Su's lover so much, it is likely that his lover took away the important inheritance of Senior Dangxian. That is to say, it is very likely that the alchemist who died by self-destruction is the true successor recognized by Senior Dangxian, and they want to force the alchemist to kill him just to get what he has. Aren't alchemists Gu and that alchemist Su dangerous now? Pavilion Master Wen thoughtfully said, if it is as Lao Sang expected, then it is impossible for alchemist Su and Gu alchemist to not know their current situation, and Lao Sang also said that when Master Su was angry, he became Lanyan. If that Master Su is Lanyan rebirth, can Master Lixu allow others to deceive him? After 10,000 years, Master Lixu once again became angry with Lanyan, not only slaughtering some cultivators, but also Lingzhou will be slaughtered by him uprooted. Tang Donqi said, "These are all our guesses. Anyway, we have to improve some precautions. If there is an abnormality, we will try to pull them as much as possible, but we can't let the self-confident guys in Lingzhou destroy the ancient alchemist." Already. Donqi Sang no longer smiled and nodded with Pavilion Master Wen. After getting to know these alchemists, Guyao often looks for opportunities to visit and ask for advice on alchemy matters. Pavilion Master Wen loves him, and of course they will not be stingy with their own experiences. Similarly, they learn something from Guyao. Harvest, many of Guyao's views are very innovative for them, and they are very useful for reference. In particular, his experience in the extraction of spirit grass and the use of spiritual consciousness in it made the 3 second-rank alchemists interested. He also knew that this was the reason why Guyao could have a very high alchemy rate and the highest quality. The key to the high rate of alchemy out of alchemy is different from the secret technique used by alchemists in Lingzhou. In such a busy time, the Donqi Grand Competition officially opened the curtain. The central square of Dangxian City was crowded with people, and the space was also arranged for objective viewing, so you could see the white clouds arranged in steps in the air. The monk couldn't wait to fly up. Large pieces of jade were also erected around the square. When the alchemy competition was going on, the jade would simultaneously broadcast the pictures on the platform. Guyao and his party also came to the central square early. Because of his current reputation, Danmen specially reserved a position with a better view for them, and Guyao directly participated in the competition as a member of the contestants. Lei Hu looked around with his sword in his arms, and said in an unhappy mood, "I didn't expect these old guys in Lingzhou to be influential enough to hold such a powerful alchemy competition, and all the people in this square are concentrated. A well-known alchemist in the spiritual world, you say, if someone has an unruly heart, wouldn't they wipe out all our alchemists in the spiritual world? Then our spiritual world will be bad." Bot. Tian Firong slammed a few mouthfuls to the side, and almost blurted out the words Tong Yanwuji, "Brother Lei, please don't scare us, this scene is scary enough to imagine. Those first-class alchemy masters are also great experts of calamity transcending anyway. Besides, I heard that there are several great tribulation transcending experts who have been invited to watch the competition. Who can do anything under their noses? With such abilities, our spiritual world has suffered long ago." Span. Seeing other companions glaring angrily at Lei Hu burned his head and smiled and pretended to be stupid. He really said it casually, but he didn't intend to touch the bad head of Lingzhou. Xia Yuans looked around and saw dense heads of people everywhere. Probably not, unless those high-level leaders in Lingzhou can't think of colluding with foreign enemies, but in the end they will lose the most in Lingzhou, unless they want to kill themselves. Dry. Although he denied it like this, Tian Firong's words were very reasonable. Xia Yuan's heart was still clouded, and he blamed Lei Hu, so he thought about it and sent a message out, just in case. There were many 3rd and 4th rank alchemists in the stands. On such occasions, they all wore costumes representing the sect, and every time they appeared, they caused cheers from the onlookers. The 2nd grade 1st grade alchemist was of course the last to appear. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 516. After Guyao came to Lingzhou, apart from his contacts with Xiang Yudan, he had no contact with other local alchemists. Although he obtained the information of most people, most of the alchemists in the stands were the first to see them. Zhang Jingfeng, who was sitting with them, introduced them to the identities of these people. Also, these people tend to stay in their own sects and seldom come out to walk around, so how can Guyao and others have a chance to meet them? Besides, although Guyao is famous, but let the local alchemist in Lingzhou come to visit him. Wouldn't that be too much of a price for their Lingzhou alchemist? Do you think everyone is the same as Xiang Yudan, an idiot who eats inside and out? There are also a few familiar faces, such as Ji Bei's and the others, as well as Shen Xing and Gao Tian's master and apprentice from Lingyun building. When Guyao looked over, it happened that Gao Tian was also looking over. As soon as his eyes met Gao Tian, he quickly avoided it. But I felt that such a move seemed to be afraid of Guyao, so I turned back and looked at it. Who would have thought that Guyao's gaze had passed over this part, and looking to the side, the corner of Gao Tian's mouth twitched, feeling like a clown. He was holding back his anger, looking forward to defeating Guyao one day, but who would have thought that others did not regard him as an opponent at all, and Gao Tian was ashamed and annoyed. In fact, deep in his heart, he also knew that the gap was so easy to narrow, and it would only get bigger and bigger in the future, until this person was beyond his reach. It's just not reconciled, or set up a goal for yourself to catch up. The other people in Lingyun building did not let go of Gao Xian. When Guyao was watching these alchemists, there were also many local alchemists looking at Guyao, the abominable guy who stepped on the top of Lingzhou alchemists. It turned out to be Guyao, and he didn't have 3 heads and 6 arms as others said. I really thought how capable he was. It's not this guy Gao Tian, let us lose the building of Lingyun building. If it hadn't happened to Tianyun sect, our Lingyun building's status in Lingzhou would have dropped a lot because of their master and apprentice. Wait for the competition, but don't be merciless, show the best level, and let others see, when our Lingyun building is really vegetarian. Yes, senior brother said it very well. Both Gao Tian and Shen Xing were in their ears, and the master and apprentice raised the corners of their mouths in unison, revealing a sneer. If they didn't go out, if they didn't lose so badly in the hands of Guyao and Sudan, they would also be with each other. These same sects thought that Lingzhou alchemists were undefeated. Master, isn't that alchemist Su here? Gao Tian never found any trace of alchemist Su. Shen Xing shook his head. I don't know, if he wants to come, our alchemist in Lingzhou will have another rival. They still have arrogance. After all, they have been out for a long time. So far, only Guyao and alchemist Su have been able to defeat them. This is still the home of alchemy masters in Lingzhou. Master, the second-grade alchemist is here. The second-grade alchemists are elders in various sects, and they preside over the alchemy competitions, while the first-grade alchemists are Taizhang elders, or the landlords of Lingyun Tower, and their status is extremely respected. When the second-rank alchemists appeared one by one, the chaotic voices in the entire square suddenly weakened, and the crowd became much quieter. Whether it was the identity of the second-rank alchemist or the strength of the Mahayana monks, it was enough to shock everyone present. Along with these second-grade alchemists, there are also invited non-alchemy cultivators, some willing to guard Lingzhou, and some from other states, who want to give Lingzhou alchemist face, no matter how strong Beijing is. They also need second-grade or even first-grade best-grade pills refined by Lingzhou alchemists. Alchemy masters outside Lingzhou, not to mention first-rank alchemists, would have difficulty refining second-rank top-grade pills. It can be seen that the status of Lingzhou is unshakable, so even the treasurer of Zhenzong of Fengeljian Zhuang dares to make up his mind. The first to speak was the elder of the Tianyun section. Although they lost an elder in the dark state, the Tianyun sect has a deep foundation and its position in the Lingzhou is still stable, because they are looking at the strength of the first-rank alchemist. Fellow deists, all alchemists, the alchemy competition in Lingzhou has begun. Our purpose is to select the best alchemists for the spiritual world. After consultation with all sects, we have decided whether it is from Lingzhou. In other states, the winners will all be eligible to enter the Dan Immortal Relics Palace. As soon as these words came out, the following exploded. Regarding the Pill Immortal Mansion, there are only various rumors in the outside world, saying that the Pill Immortal Mansion has left a precious inheritance of the Pill Immortal, and the entrants are eligible to obtain the inheritance of the Pill Immortal. Why is Ling Zhou Alchemist possessing such superb alchemy skills? Isn't it the precious treasure left by Senior Dangxian? Before you can, how can an alchemist outside of Ling Zhou be qualified to enter the Yufu, and even have no qualifications to approach it? Of course, this is not blamed for the exclusion of alchemists in Ling Zhou. Which sect will open the door to the outside world? So after this, many cultivators' perception of Ling Zhou alchemists immediately increased. Although almost no one under Ling Zhou alchemists can obtain such qualifications, their open-mindedness is still worth writing about. Elder Qin on the stage looked at the effect of this campaign with satisfaction, raised his hand and pressed down, and the square immediately became quiet again, and then introduced the process of the alchemy competition. This will be the main arena. All alchemists who meet the requirements can participate, regardless of the level of alchemists. The most stringent level of this condition is the Bone Age, which is under 1,000 years, although it sounds quite it's been a long time, but as long as you are promoted to Nascent Soul, your lifespan can increase to thousands, and some great masters can live for more than 10,000 years. Being able to become a cultivator in 1,000 years, he also belongs to the ranks of geniuses in the spiritual world, so these participating alchemists can also be called outstanding. In addition, there are various sub-venues where alchemists of all levels can compete there. In addition to the rewards, the winners are also an important criterion for the selection of disciples by the various sects in Ling Zhou. Those who are young and talented are often in the eyes of the big sect, they were accepted as disciples by exception. Therefore, young alchemists from all over Ling Zhou are gearing up to show their skills on such occasions. Next, the first-grade alchemists of our Alchemy Alliance, Dan Alchemist and Dai Alchemist, will announce the start of this alchemy competition. As soon as Elder Qin's voice fell, the square became restless again. There was a rank 1 alchemist who appeared, which was very encouraging. You must know that many of these first-rank alchemists have never seen one in a lifetime. The alchemists at the front desk all straightened their backs and looked at the podium with bright eyes, waiting for the appearance of the 2 first-rank alchemists. Guyao also had yearning for a first-grade alchemist. He didn't want to become a first-grade alchemist. He was definitely not a good alchemist, so he waited for them to appear like everyone else. Seeing that on the 2 main seats vacated in the middle of the rostrum, 2 figures appeared from hidden to visible, one with a white face and no beard, looking extremely refined, and the other with only a middle-aged appearance, his eyes swept down. It brings a lot of pressure to people. How can the strength of the transcendental calamity be underestimated? Zhang Jingfeng introduced, Shan Dan is the supreme elder of the Tianyun sect, while Dai Dan is the supreme elder of the Pill Pavilion, and the only supreme elder of the Pill Pavilion today. Tianyunzong is not only this one, so the Pill Pavilion is weaker than Tianyunzong, but it is still a behemoth for other second and third-rate forces. Although Zhang Jingfeng obtained these materials early, it was the first time he saw a real person. Alchemist Dai nodded to Alchemist Shan, so Alchemist Shan announced, this year's alchemy competition has officially started, and all alchemists who sign up are welcome to appear. Alchemy masters who couldn't hold back for a long time appeared one by one. Alchemy masters from other states, such as Pavilion Master Wen, also let their disciples participate in it. Ranking and qualifications are secondary, the key is to be able to obtain valuables from such competitions. Experience, close contact with these talented alchemists. They didn't expect the disciples they brought to stand out from the crowd. In addition to the participating disciples, there were also disciples who stayed in the stands to watch. Alchemist Gu, come on stage, we are waiting to see your wonderful performance from Alchemist Gu Lei, who cheered Gu Yao, and it is best to beat these stinky Ling Zhou alchemists to the ground. Gu Yao smiled, got up and walked to the stage. When they met Xiang Yudan on the way, the two nodded. Gu Yao found out that Xiang Yudan was excluded by the alchemists of the Pill Pavilion. Needless to say, there was a big reason for him. Those alchemists who did not look at the Pill Pavilion voted his eyes were full of scrutiny and hostility. This is the sect where Senior Su Chen used to stay. Gu Yao feels more complicated about this Pill Pavilion, not only because of Su Chen, but also because of the name Pill Pavilion, because the real Pill Pavilion is on himself. This power, it's a bit of a misnomer to use. He has never forgotten his ambition to build a Pill Pavilion that can truly benefit countless alchemists, lowering the threshold for entering this ranks, but, can it still be called Pill Pavilion at that time? Should I change my name? Gu Yao thought about it all the way. In the eyes of others, Gu Yao was a bit arrogant, and he didn't even give them a look. Each one was extremely angry, and decided to wait for this foreign state alchemist to look good, knowing that they are all disciples and grandchildren of Senior Dangxian. How can you lose? A high platform was raised in the center of the square. The high platform was divided into small sections, each of which accommodated one person. These sections exuded bursts of anger and the fragrance of pills. It can be seen that there have been many alchemists who have refined pills in these sections. It can be seen that the profound heritage of Lingzhou alchemy. In a short period of time, tens of thousands of alchemists appeared on the stage, and each alchemist had impressive strength, which was praised by cultivators from other states. This was a grand event that only Lingzhou could see. With the token he received when he signed up, Gu Yao sensed his position, walked over, and could feel that as long as the formation restriction was raised, this area was a small enclosed space, and the formation restriction, the power is quite remarkable. Moreover, the entire platform is made of extremely precious azure stone, which helps the alchemists who make alchemy on it quickly replenish. Filled with spiritual power and divine consciousness, it is said that this was also left by the Senior Dangxian at the beginning. In today's spiritual world, it is difficult to find a slightly complete piece of Qingming stone. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 517. Gu Yao's location is quite conspicuous, and it is in the same area as Ji Bei's and others, but Ji Bei's looked at this person and turned away gloomily. The Dan League wanted to throw him into an inconspicuous position, but the senior officials of Lingzhou still knew about the specific situation of Fengzhou and Anzhou at the beginning, and Bizhu has spread a lot of excellent products from Gu Yao over the years. Dan, all the forces from other states rushed to Bizhu, just to wait for the sale of medicinal pills once every 10 days. Even if it is arranged in a remote corner, this person will still stand out in the end, but it will make people laugh at the mind of the Alchemy Alliance, so it is better to arrange him and the alchemist of the same level in one place. Not all the onlookers recognized Gu Yao's face. Seeing that he was staying in the same area with Ji Bei's and other heavenly favorites, in their eyes, it was like a chicken with mixed feathers fell into the Fengfen nest. Endlessly. Who is this guy? What qualifications does he have to stay in that position? That's right, did you run to the wrong person? Didn't the staff above quickly kick him out? My brain is broken, but I still want to be famous. It's not worth the loss to actually use this method. Don't talk about it. Some people felt embarrassed. This person is Gu Yao Gu alchemist, after all, he is also a third-rank alchemist, and he can stay in that position. What? He's that Gu Yao? Sigh. It's better to stay there, just wait to be set off by our genius alchemist in Lingzhou. After watching this alchemy competition, who else dares to praise him? Alchemy. The voices of these people were loud enough that they could hear Qi Changjai clearly while sitting in the stands. Tian Firong and Fatty were annoyed and glared at the cultivator with the loudest voice, but there were too many people talking about Gu Yao. I can't even stare at them. I can only say that these guys in Lingzhou are too rare and strange, and we will see how they will swallow their words back. Lihu gritted his teeth, My sword is a little restless, I want to find something to sharpen it. In the past few years, Gu Yao has sold how many top quality pills in the store in Yuanguang City, and every time he goes to a sect, Qi Changjai and other disciples go to exchange swordsmanship, and Gu Yao will also be invited by the sect to refine a few pots of pills. The quality of those pills really opened their eyes, and they were not cultivated by any alchemist, but those alchemists watched the alchemy scene in person, and they were about to hit the wall in shame. Qi Changjai's cool eyes swiveled around those people, and then returned to Gu Yao on the stage. His eyes softened, and Gu Yao, who had a feeling in his heart, also looked up, and the two looked at each other. Zhang Jingfeng, who saw the scene next to him, felt that he had been hit 100-fold, but the relationship between the two made him extremely envious. Compared with the blood-slaughtering monk's anger for Lanyan's shocking anger, he prefers this kind of long-lasting water. The disciples of Giwen Pavilion were also looking at Gu Yao, thinking that there were still people who fought against Huang Ruyu's master and apprentice at the beginning, and felt that the punishment of the pavilion master was too much. Now looking back on it, they can only say that the pavilion owner is the pavilion owner. Not that they can compare. Have you seen junior sister Huang? Among the disciples of the same generation as Huang Ruyu, there were still people who admired her. When they heard this, a look of embarrassment flashed on their faces. Someone said, "Didn't she enter Lingyuan building? I heard that Master Kui was there too." "Where is it? Junior sister Huang is not a disciple of Lingyuan building, she is just a concubine of Gao Tian, a disciple of Lingyuan building, the one named Gao Tian. I heard that she also challenged alchemist Gu Yao in Fengzhou before. In the end, they didn't even win against alchemist Gu Yao, and they do have some fate." "What fate?" "Probably the fate of provoking the same person and losing to the same person." There were also female disciples in the company, and said annoyed, "That's because she was willing to degenerate. After all, she was also a cabinet disciple of Giwen Pavilion before, and now we have been laughed at by others. She is no longer a disciple of Giwen Pavilion." The others had to shut up, and the older disciples also heard it. To be honest, they also met Kui Xian and found that she had not made much progress in her cultivation after leaving Giwen Pavilion all these years, and even the arrogance on her face had changed. Cheng Qiang held on, and the changes were too great. The pavilion master is right, they should go out more and see the level of alchemy outside, so as not to be blindly arrogant because of that little strength. The fate of Huang Ruyu's master and apprentice was not the result of being too conceited. It has started. The alchemy competition in the main arena is very crude and simple, and a round-by-round elimination system is implemented. In the first round, Elder Qin gave a question and listed a long list of spiritual herb materials, from which the contestants selected and matched to make pills. The fourth-grade pills were qualified and entered the next round of elimination. These materials are displayed one by one on the UV light curtain. There is a contact button on the platform in front of each participant to report the required materials, and their own staff will deliver these materials to their location. Most of the alchemists were present, watching the jade by light curtain like the contestants, thinking about how to choose the materials and mixes if they were to be on the stage, and what kind of medicinal pills could be refined. Many people also whispered, "Stand up. This first round knockout is so difficult. I feel that the materials are full of traps. If you want to refine a fifth-grade pill, that's all. But if you want a fourth-grade pill, you always feel that the ingredients for several pill recipes can't be gathered together. There is no difficulty to call it the great competition of pill techniques. What's more, we are only refining fourth-grade pills, and it will become more difficult as we go on. Without any confidence and strength, it would be shameful to run up there. Look at it, it must be the first. A lot of rounds will be eliminated." Most of the participating alchemists on the stage were third-rank alchemists, and refining the fourth-rank alchemy was not difficult at all. However, there were still many people who hesitated after reading these materials, and it seemed that it was difficult to make a decision. Guyao smiled after reading it. This question is indeed full of many pitfalls. The test is about the alchemist's familiarity with the properties of various spirit herbs, as well as the most important alchemy in alchemy, which involves a reasonable mix of materials. Use. However, such a problem is very easy for Guyao. In the process of developing the medicinal pill, he crushed the medicinal essence he had mastered before opening it. He was very familiar with the performance of the spirit grass, so he thought about it for a while. Several adjusted pill recipes flashed in my mind. Because he didn't want to hide these alchemy skills, he made a decision after thinking about it, and made a blindly 4th grade intermediate Dan, which was the highest grade of all the elixirs he could list. Guyao pressed the contact button on the platform, and reported the materials he needed to the other end. Casting surprises so quickly, wouldn't it be because he wanted to hit a dead mouse with a blind cat? Of course, the disciples of the forces such as Pil Pavilion Tianyunzong Lingyunlu and Xiananmen did not respond slowly, and they also determined the pill recipe one after another. When the materials were delivered, Guyao took out the pill furnace and sacrificed the fire of the lotus heart, and started to make pills without any hesitation. The second-rank alchemists in the stands were all engaged in the discussion, and the third-rank and fourth-rank alchemists who came with them were not idle either. Pavilion Master, how many pill recipes can these materials produce? Are there really no problems with these materials? Pavilion Master Wen was looking at the situation of the players on the stage. He also glanced at the materials Guyao asked for when they were delivered, and his eyes showed surprise. These materials were not so easy to use when they got into his hands. Their technical insights are not necessarily inferior to those of these second-rank alchemists, which is truly remarkable. Hearing the disciple's question, he replied, "There must be at least 5 or 6 kinds of 4th-grade pill recipes, but it is not easy to determine, and alternative materials must be considered, and the alternative materials must not conflict with other materials. To be comprehensive is likely to add more than 1 or 2 materials, but a few more. Alchemy requires not only knowing what it is, but also knowing why it is. However, changes and adjustments can only be made on the basis of completely understanding the original pill recipe. For ordinary alchemists, it is not bad to be able to refine the medicinal pills according to the pill recipe step by step, and improve the quality of medicinal pills as much as possible. Be firm, it is inevitable that you will be in a hurry when encountering such difficulty. On the stage, some alchemists are half-finished, and some alchemists haven't even finalized the formula, but this competition is also time-limited. Seeing that time is passing quickly, they can only grit their teeth and get the materials first. Get it, and then try it slowly, at least you have 3 chances. Bang, someone blew the furnace. The presiding elders, the old gods and gods, are watching. This round of frying will be a very common phenomenon. Do you really think that it is so easy for Dan Fang to adjust it? This is the most test of the ability of an alchemist. But when they saw Guyao's smooth sailing, their eyes inevitably flashed with helplessness. When they asked the question, they thought about whether they could stymie Guyao, but the Dan Fang of the exorcism pill also let them know as far as this alchemist's ability is concerned, if the alchemy recipe was completely created by him independently, the current exam question would be a piece of cake for him. But they couldn't help but hope that Guyao's pill recipe was mostly completed by others, such as the Su pill teacher, who just pressed it on Guyao's head. But in the current situation, probably, maybe, he really has some ability. From the time the first person fried the furnace, the sound of the fryer on the stage rang out one after another. Fortunately, the formation can stand the test, and it will not have much impact on others and the alchemist, but it is embarrassing, especially compared with those alchemists who are still steadily refining pills. They are even more foiled as scum. With another bang, the audience in the stands showed surprise, because this time it was a core disciple of Xiannong sect who was blasting the furnace. Transmigration, First-class immortal husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 518. The monks who didn't understand alchemy in the audience watched with joy, not to mention, listening to the sound of the frying oven. It was not interesting. Xiang Yudan's first furnace was also blown up, but his face showed no signs of discouragement. After making a few adjustments, he devoted himself to the refining of the second furnace with 100 times more enthusiasm. It will be a success without incident. Looking at Guyao next to him, not only did the alchemy formula be finalized quickly, but the first person who started the alchemy process was the fastest so far, which made people suspect that he knew the problem and prepared early. But the conscience of heaven and earth, no one has disclosed this topic, but they have hinted to the core disciples who want to participate in the competition. Look, Guyao is about to get out of pills? It seems that he still has 2 brushes. Nonsense, no more brushes dare to participate in the competition? No 2 brushes from the northern state can hold him so high? Do you really think that those sword cultivators are idiots? Lei Hu and the others were very depressed when they heard it, so just praise Guyao, but what are you doing, a sword repair idiot? Their sword cultivators are not stupid in the first place, okay? No, they are actually very smart. They are not like the monks in other states, who are vying to please these alchemists in Lingzhou, and they hold their hearts higher than the sky. Cut, it's fine without refining the medicinal pills. Before the medicinal pills come out, who knows whether they are poison pills or waste pills, and non-4th grade medicinal pills are not passable. Out of pill, look. There was a nice roar from the pill stove in front of Guyao. Qi Changjai and Tian Firong were both staring closely, for fear of taking a wrong look. After a while, 9 medicinal pills were ejected from the pill furnace, and they spun around in mid-air before turning back and plunged into the jade bottle. Just by looking at the brilliance of the medicinal pills, one could know that the 9 medicinal pills contain the 9 pills. There are 5 top-grade pills, and the rest are top-grade pills. Guyao was not dissatisfied either. Even though he was in the furnace, he could produce 9 top-grade pills. After all, it was the first time that the adjusted pill recipe was used, and his range was not small. He did not continue refining the remaining 2 pairs of materials, and directly handed over the bottle of medicinal herbs, then closed his eyes and adjusted his breath, waiting for the second round of elimination. He is so calm, the audience below can't calm down, especially the disciples of the big sects in Lingzhou, who can't imagine being robbed of the top prize by this foreign alchemist, and there are 5 top-grade dans, that is to say, it is rumored outside that it is not a rumor that the alchemist has a very high chance of producing the best dan, his alchemy level is really good. Maybe it's a 5th grade medicinal pill, maybe he will be kicked out of the stage later, someone still saved. After the medicinal pill was delivered to the rostrum, Elder Qin and the others brought out the list of materials that Guyao wanted, and then checked the medicinal pill. Their expressions were very strange. If this is an alchemy master trained by them in Lingzhou, they will know it now. They smiled happily. However, people came to Lingzhou to slap them in the face. How could they be happy? 2 supreme elders, look at this medicine pill. Alchemist Shan and Alchemist Dai first looked at it, then scraped some powder to taste it, and felt it carefully. Alchemy Master Shan nodded and said, "The future generations are terrifying, that's fine. Let our alchemists in Lingzhou know that there are people outside of people, and there are heavens outside of the sky, so we don't have to be blind and arrogant and not study alchemy techniques properly." Alchemist Dai also affirmed, "This alchemy recipe has been changed to perfection." It can be seen that the alchemist's knowledge of alchemy and the familiarity of the properties of spirit herbs are far from what ordinary alchemists can compare to. Many audience members in the audience were paying attention to the movements on the rostrum. The comments of Dan Dan and Dai Dan were clearly sent to their ears, causing an uproar. Even the people who were still belittling Guyao before, there was nothing they could do at this time. Holding on, Wouldn't denying Guyao mean denying the eyesight of these two first-rank alchemists? Many people's faces turned red, and the two supreme elders gave this foreign alchemist too much face. Is it necessary to hold him so high? Next, it was the second-grade alchemist's turn to taste, and they also discussed with each other, which flavor of spirit herbs in this modified pill recipe played a role, and which flavors of spirit herbs played a balancing role, and used so cleverly and boldly that ordinary people would not dare to do it. They are already restrained enough. If this is the alchemist of their own state, they have already blown the flower at this moment, and listed him as the most talented alchemist after the alchemy. Although the others still haven't collected the pills, their movements are all in their eyes, and they know in their hearts that no one can beat Guyao's in this round. Fortunately, it's only a knockout round at the moment, and there is no need to rank the players who enter the next round of knockout rounds, otherwise the scene will be ugly. Many of the second-grade alchemists present here are skeptical of Guyao's reputation abroad, and feel that they have too little knowledge. I don't know the real level of alchemy in Lingzhou, and my vision is too low, so I will blindly hold a slightly accomplished alchemist. Coming to Lingzhou can be regarded as a phoenix at best. However, just this medicinal pill made them pounding in their hearts, worried that in the end, Guyao would overwhelm the entire Lingzhou alchemist with one person. They did not create such a big battle to help Guyao become famous. Let's see first. Everyone has no confidence in the alchemists we cultivated in Lingzhou. One person transmits a voice to the others. Some alchemists with poor strength had all three materials in the furnace, so they had to carry the alchemy furnace to go down the stage, feeling embarrassed, and could not last even one round. But later, I saw that some disciples of the sect were eliminated, and I felt more at ease. It wasn't that their alchemy skills were too poor, but that the first round of questions was too difficult for them. Of course, the alchemists who can win also have real materials. Xiang Yudan's second batch was a success, but he did not satisfy the quality of the medicinal pill, so he continued to refine the third batch. After Xiang Yudan, Ji Bei successfully produced pills for the second time. He was very proud to hand over this bottle of pills, especially when he saw Xiang Yudan was still concocting pills. His pride was about to show. Guyao, Jingran is closing his eyes and resting. What's going on? Could there be an alchemist who grabbed the alchemy in front of him? Ji Bei was in shock. He had to know that before the game, he got a suggestion from Master, and when he saw Master's meaningful eyes, he guessed that the suggestion was probably related to the alchemy competition, so he looked at a lot of people in the door. The precious collection and the alchemy experience left by the elders. When he heard the question of the first round, the word surely popped up in his heart, so he was very confident. Ji Bei frowned slightly. He could only close his eyes to adjust his breath and adjust his state, but he couldn't be led by Guyao's nose because of this situation. Although this knockout round will not rank the qualifiers, everyone can see the situation of the pills, and the quality of the pills can be seen in that short moment. Seeing the pills from Ji Bei, some pill masters shook their heads secretly in their hearts. Ji Bei's medicinal pill, just in terms of appearance, is a little worse than Guyao's. In the hands of Elder Qin and the others, they could see the difference even more. Ji Bei refined the 4th grade elementary pills, while Guyao's was the 4th grade intermediate pill, and Guyao's number of top grade pills also exceeded Ji Bei's. The gap is not ordinary small. Time passed in the friar, and before the specified time, those who should step down also consciously go down, and those who should give out Dan also give out Dan, and half of the space on the stage is vacated at once, and when they are eliminated again less than half of a batch of unqualified elixir players can still stay on the stage. The audience made gasps from time to time. The elimination in the first round was too tragic. More than half of the people were eliminated. You must know that these eliminated alchemists are also sought after outside. They didn't know that as long as they made a little bit of the 4th grade pill, they would stay, even if some of the pills were strictly not allowed to be taken. otherwise it would be a good result if 1/3 of the people on the stage remained. It's miserable. It's really miserable, Tianfirong said gloatingly, because there were also alchemists from Lingzhou among the alchemists who were eliminated. Who made these natives try to belittle Guyao, but now the result is that Guyao stayed, or the first and out of Dan. The disciples of Giwen Pavilion were also gasping for breath. The alchemy master they went up had barely left behind a direct disciple of the pavilion master. Sure enough, it was better than not knowing that their alchemy skills were far from others. Elder Qin coughed lightly, and the square became quiet again. He announced, "The next round is the knockout round. All alchemists will continue to work hard. The second round of the knockout rounds is relatively easy. All alchemists are requested to choose 2 of the 10 medicinal herbs below, and those whose quality is above the middle grade will qualify." The names of the 10 medicinal pills were clearly displayed on the jade bib at first. Everyone was relieved. This round was indeed much easier. It didn't take so much effort. The 10 medicinal pills were all 4th-grade pills. 4th-grade pills, however, are the most difficult to refine among the 4th-grade pills, and it is not easy for some alchemists to produce medicinal pills of middle grade and above. But this time, the alchemists in Lingzhou had a good idea, and they reported the names of the pills one by one. It was not their alchemists from Lingzhou who were eliminated in this round, but from outside. Of course, they were eliminated in the first round. Eliminate a lot. Guyao also reported the names of the medicinal pills he had chosen. It can be said that these 10 medicinal pills are the most difficult ones. They are all medicinal pills for nourishing and repairing the sea of consciousness, but with the soul refining method in hand, right, it was easier for him. When the spirit grass was delivered, Guyao's consciousness swept away and raised his eyebrows slightly. I don't know how other people's spirit grasses are, but the quality of his batch of spirit grasses is really uneven, which will affect the quality of the medicinal herbs and even the chindan. However, his habit is to filter the spirit grass first, and, well, each medicine has 3 materials, pick and choose to collect the best one, and then throw them into the medicine furnace together. Lotus heart fire starts, hula la practice. Stand up. His actions like this will inevitably attract the attention of the audience, and there are a lot of eyes gathered on him. What does this mean? This book is exclusively published by Liancheng Reading. Please do not reprint. The official account searches Liancheng to read, give members, and receive benefits. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 519. Tianfirong asked in shock, "Have they touched the spirit grass?" Qi Changjai squinted at the stage and said, "That's not true, but spirit grasses are also of high quality. Mixing in a few spirit grasses of poor quality is not a violation." Of course, Guyao didn't save face for those guys. Seeing his actions, I believe that many alchemists would be suspicious. If these forces in Lingzhou want face, they should stop doing such petty actions. Tianfirong and Fatty made a cut sound together. People who are not confident will do this. This is because they feel the pressure brought by Guyao. Alchemy Shen and Alchemy Dai glanced at the presiding elders on the rostrum lightly. One of the elders in charge of this matter felt pressured and smiled bitterly in his heart. He didn't expect Guyao to be so cunning, and he would be exposed by a small gesture. "How dare you do this again next time?" This time, all the alchemists got the spirit grass without hesitation and started to make alchemy. The alchemy fire was flying on the stage. Compared with the scene of the previous round, this time it was really the scene where the alchemist masters performed collectively. It was wonderful. To the extreme, the alchemists in the audience were also mesmerized, especially the alchemists from other states. The sparse and ordinary sound of the frying stove in the last round is also extremely rare this round. It is rare to hear such a sound together, which attracts everyone to cast a different look and return sympathetic eyes. It is certain that this guy is likely to be eliminated. For the alchemists who were engrossed in the observation, they could not feel the passage of time at all, and only heard someone whisper, "Alchemist Guyao is the fastest, how can he be so fast?" It can be said that Guyao won the top spot in the last round, so is he going to steal the limelight this time? The local alchemists always felt uncomfortable in their hearts, but the alchemists from other states were very excited because they had deeply realized how much the local alchemists despised them since they came here. This time, Guyao really let go of the whole process of alchemy, and brought out the best level. The strong soul power wraps the alchemy furnace, and any changes are under his control. Alchemy does have a blessing, and he feels that his state is better than ever. There was a buzzing sound again in the pill furnace. When the 9 pills flew into the air, all the pill masters cast their eyes. Each pill was surrounded by circles of brilliance. That uniformity made them look shocked and gasped. 9 top-grade pills. How is that possible? Fake, right? A halo created by deliberate means. You also make one for us to see. If you can't do it yourself, you think others can't do it? There is no best in this world, only better alchemy techniques and alchemy masters' words, take it back to them. Some people couldn't help pinching themselves, it was so painful. It turned out that there was no hallucination. Could this explain the reason why Guyao is so popular in Bizhu? In their realm, such an alchemist would also be held high. Alchemy Tang and Alchemist Sang were amazed. It turns out that there are other people whose alchemy skills can give people a sense of surprise. Together, they sent a voice transmission to Pavilion Master Wen. Do you know that the alchemy skills of ancient alchemists are so superb? Court Wen was equally surprised and delighted, and replied, every time it's better than before. I think I may have restrained myself before coming. This is also the right approach. Premature exposure may not be a good thing for his development. The disciples of Giwan Pavilion clenched their fists with excitement. They didn't expect Guyao to be so good. 9 top-grade pills were a legendary existence to them. At this moment, I also feel that this person can only look up, because the gap between him and him is too far. When the gap is big enough, even jealousy can't be born. The second-grade and first-grade alchemists on the stage also had strange expressions on their eyes. Guyao's alchemy technique was beyond their expectations. For them, refining top-grade pills is easy, but the difficulty is that all 9 are top-grade in one pot. Dan, especially when they use the secret method to sacrifice the quality of other medicine pills, can't do it to this extent. They gasped in their hearts, is this the power of soul refinement? Even the original Su Chen couldn't do it to such an extent. Perhaps only the pill immortals back then could achieve such perfection. The more powerful they are, the more determined they are to obtain the soul refinement technique. This alchemy technique was originally owned by their Lingzhou, and it should have been returned to the original owner. With Guyao's splendid and perfect performance ahead, unless he achieves the same level of excellence, other alchemists are destined to become his foil. Many alchemists in the audience looked at him with sympathy and even regret. Ji Bai's put the jade bottle on the front platform, and paid special attention to the situation of Xia Guyao, and found that Guyao was still there. In the midst of alchemy, he took it for granted that Guyao was behind him this round, and he never imagined that Guyao had already started the second furnace, which is the second rank 4 pill. The first batch of 9 top-grade pills came out, and there might be an alchemist who wanted to say that Guyao was lucky, but when the second batch of 9 top-grade pills came out, there was only a sound of gas in the audience. Use words to describe the shock and complexity in their hearts. They didn't realize that their mentality towards Guyao had changed in the 2 rounds of the competition, and their gazes towards him were no longer questioning and scrutiny, but somewhat respectful. There are also non-alchemy cultivators from other states. While the shock in their hearts has not dissipated, they also feel regretful. I said, why those sword sects in Bazhu are so kind, and let the disciples in the sect accompany Qi Changjai to practice swords one by one. This route is still in the ancient alchemist. The longer Qi Changjai stays in their sword sect, the more high-quality pills the ancient alchemist refined for them. Damn Bazhu sword sect, they swallowed all the benefits. I didn't expect their sword cultivators to have such a cunning and sinister side. I'm really stupid. I really believed what Lingzhou alchemist said to belittle Gu alchemist. Gu alchemist is second to this alchemy technique. Does anyone dare to recognize the first? Many guests from major powers have made decisions in their hearts. After the big competition is over, they will send an invitation to Gu Yao and invite him and Qi Changjai to their state and power to be guests. They will show the highest standards to receive. Huang Ruyu's master and apprentice, who did not sit in the stands and watched in front of the other jades, stared at the scene of Gu Yao's elixir, and heard the gasping sound and the successive ups and downs of exclamations from others. There was a strong sense of powerlessness in my heart. In front of a piece of jade, Du Tong Tong and her flower guardian stared at the screen in disbelief, thinking that the screen could be stared out of the flower, and the previous scene would no longer exist. In particular, Du Tong Tong felt extremely embarrassed. When the envoy belittled Gu Yao, she also felt disdain in her heart. She also felt that the best alchemist was in Lingzhou, and all alchemists from other states belonged to hillbillies. But now that I have seen it with my own eyes, I know how good this person's alchemy skills are. Lingzhou's alchemy masters have become a foil. At this moment, she regrets it so much that she can't wait to go back in time. She will wholeheartedly win Tianrong, maybe there will be a chance to learn. Got Gu Yao's alchemy. Her envoys are also in a bad mood. How good is Gu Yao, Tianrong, and Hu Cai, the two trash they look down on, will have a higher status, and their facial expressions will be distorted by the strong jealousy. After the shock, the alchemy masters from other states cast their admiring glances at Gu Yao on the stage, and some of them directly turned into brainless fans. When Ji Bei's collected the second pot of elixir, he looked at Gu Yao, who was on the side, only to find that he was closing his eyes and resting. Children can go on to make the second furnace. The alchemist from the same sect as Ji Bei's couldn't wait to wake Ji Bei's up. Gu Yao had finished the second batch a long time before him. Not only was the speed fast, but the quality of the medicinal herbs was better than his. Ji Bei's was usually good enough. Well, there is still a big gap between Gu Yao and Gu Yao, and this gap is difficult to shorten. Xiang Yudan was steady, and the second batch of pills was successfully completed. The results were also very stable, on par with Ji Bei's. When he saw Gu Yao in his eyes closed and resting, he didn't look very different. Because every time I communicated with Gu Yao about alchemy, I felt that Gu Yao's opinion was superior to him, so it was not normal to complete the task in front of him. Such a Dan buddy with superb alchemy skills. Ji Bei's also adjusted his breath, but he still focused his attention on the movement outside. From the beginning to the end, he didn't notice that Gu Yao started to make alchemy again, and gradually understood that Gu Yao had produced alchemy before him. The speed of alchemy is also an element to assess the level of an alchemist, but it is not necessary, so Ji Bei still pinned his hopes on the quality of the elixirs. Good at producing the best Dan. The second round of the knockout round is nearing the end. Like the first round, the presiding elders did not give the ranking of the line alchemists, but eliminated a group of alchemists with unqualified medicinal pill quality. The alchemists who came down one by one with their heads down in frustration. Pavilion Master Wen's disciples had middle-grade pills in the pills, and they were squeezed into the next round of the competition. It has to be said that the disciples of Giwen Pavilion sweated for him. Save the fruit, I hope it can persist for a longer time. The alchemists on stage didn't know each other's achievements, so including Ji Bei's, their mentality was pretty good, and the audience on stage could see clearly that the current situation was actually beneficial to Ji Bei's and the others, otherwise it would be announced. To be honest, it is estimated that there will be some deviations in the mentality of many alchemists on the stage, which will affect the performance of the later competitions. The third round of the competition is a progression above the second round, rising from the fourth grade pill to the third grade pill. The one listed is: there are 10 kinds of third grade primary medicinal herbs, and the players still choose any 2 of them, and they also need to be middle grade to qualify. Unsurprisingly, in this round, Guyao is also far ahead. Not to mention the fastest speed, Chengdan is all top grade pills. In addition to the growing brain powder, there are also people who fall into numbness. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 520. The knockout round soon entered the 5th round, and the number of alchemists still on the stage became less and less. At this point, cultivation and alchemy were as important. To refine the third grade high-level pill, the difficulty is not as big as the general 2. The people who are still on stage now are all alchemists who have combined cultivation, that is, third grade alchemists of the same color. This alchemy competition is destined to belong to their stage. The atmosphere at the scene became more and more tense, and the audience knew that the game had entered a critical moment. There are still many people focusing on Guyao. It is because his previous performance was too dazzling, not to mention the speed of alchemy, and the number of high-quality alchemy is far ahead of other alchemists. In addition, there is another important factor, that is, Guyao's current cultivation base is in the middle stage of fusion, and it may be possible to refine third-grade high-level pills, but what about going up? Can he survive until the end? The sound of the blasting furnace continued to sound again and again, and one after another, the alchemists who had cultivated in the early stage of fusion fell on this threshold. Originally, these third-grade advanced alchemists exceeded their alchemy level, which is the level of Lingzhou alchemists. No matter how high you are, there are limits. Soon, some cultivators in the middle stage of integration also joined the friar ranks. Not all alchemists in Lingzhou have surpassed their spiritual power cultivation level, and those who can do it are also outstanding. The disciples of Giwen Pavilion were also very nervous. The previous disciples of the Pavilion Master insisted on stepping down until the 3rd round. As for the contestants on the stage, they supported Guyao, an out-of-state alchemist, and hoped that he would continue to persevere to the end. Don't worry, the ancient alchemist is stable. You can see the situation of his Taoist companion and the sword cultivators from Bizhu. Everyone looked over, and sure enough, those swordsmen were still chatting and laughing. Although Qi Changjai did not look away from Guyao on the stage, he did not look nervous and worried. It would be impossible to say that they did not care about Guyao, so there is only one result, that is, he is very confident in Guyao. With the sound of the frying furnace, Guyao's first pill was released again, and he still maintained the leading speed. And so far, his pill success rate is 100%, and there has never been a case where he failed to become a pill. It's almost right. How many top-grade pills are there this time? Come out, wow, there are 5 top-grade pills in total, and the remaining 4 are also high-grade pills. The ancient pill master is too powerful. What level of alchemy do you say the ancient alchemist has reached now? Is it a 3rd grade advanced or a 3rd grade top? It goes without saying that it must have reached the top 3 ranks. In the next round, the ancient alchemist will definitely be able to produce alchemy. It's a pity, the ancient alchemist is still a little weaker, and if the cultivation is stronger, the ancient alchemist will properly step into the ranks of 2nd rank alchemists. It can only be said that Gudan teachers and students are a little late. Otherwise, when it comes to bone age, Gudan teacher is considered young among these 3rd grade alchemists on stage. Guyao put away the medicinal pills and put them on the platform. Later, the staff will collect them for evaluation. He looked at Qi Changjai and the others under the stage, and then he closed his eyes and adjusted his breath. The next round will be very crucial. I've seen it before, The highest level of cultivation of the alchemists on the stage is in the late stage of fusion. No matter how high the alchemy skills are, they can only barely step into the ranks of second-rank alchemists with 1 foot, so he doesn't need to worry too much. After this round, he has actually obtained the qualification to enter the Immortal Relics Palace. In those years in Bazhu, he did not stay in vain. While visiting various sword schools, he also came into contact with a large number of third-grade medicinal herbs, which was very beneficial for him to consolidate the level of third-grade medicinal herbs. In the collection, the pill recipes of various third-grade medicinal herbs have long been imprinted in his mind. Xiang Yudan's first pot failed, but this is a very normal situation for alchemists, and even Gu Yao occasionally misses the situation. Which alchemist can guarantee that he has never destroyed a pot of pills? However, Ji Bei's failed 2 times in a row. Elder Qin and others on the rostrum side that Ji Bei's had suffered a lot in the end. Gu Yao's performance obviously brought him a lot of pressure. On the contrary, Gu Yao lost his sense of normalcy. The alchemists from the Tianyuan sect under the stage were all anxious for Ji Bei's. They were the ones who despised Gu Yao the most at the beginning. They felt that this person was grandstanding. Can it be unaffected at all? Didn't you find that some of this person's methods are actually quite similar to our Lingzhou alchemist? Where did he come from, and where did he learn from? Some people say that it was the alchemist Su who was in the Lingyuan building in Fengzhou last time, but unfortunately that alchemist Su has disappeared since the Dark State. If his apprenticeship really came from our Lingzhou, doesn't that mean that all the alchemy techniques in the world came from Lingzhou? Let's see the next round. I don't believe that he can still make these top quality pills, and senior brother Ji will adjust his state. Ji Bei's closed his eyes and adjusted his state before starting the alchemy furnace, because he couldn't afford to fail, and if he failed again this time, he didn't even have the qualifications to enter the Elixir Immortal Palace. How could he be reconciled? Perhaps it was precisely because of this mentality that Ji Bei's finally seized the last chance, and the elders on the stage were sweating. Affected. This time, Ji Bei's didn't pursue the best pills to show off his skills. He still took the middle grade pills as the qualified ones. In the end, Ji Bei's got a high grade pill, and the rest were middle grade and low grade pills. Although not very satisfied, because it is not his best result, but finally passed the test. He didn't go to see Gu Yao again, and he didn't want to pay attention to Gu Yao's results anymore. Just by seeing Gu Yao steadily staying on stage, he knew that he also entered the next round. When the round ended, there were only a few players left on the stage, and the number of eliminations in this round was second only to the first round. There are only 30 people left in the audience. It's really tragic. From the elimination of tens of thousands of people to the current double digits, it can be seen that the competition is fierce and cruel. There is only one alchemist in the outer state, Gu Alchemist. The comparison is equally tragic. Fortunately, there is still Gu Yao supporting, otherwise the alchemy master in the outer state will lose all face. Some people couldn't help covering their eyes and couldn't bear to look directly. It was true that the alchemists from the outside state were made scum by the alchemists of Lingzhou, but most of the alchemists in Lingzhou were not much better than scum in front of Gu Yao. Elder Qin announced, in the 6th round, refining the top-level pills of the 3rd grade is also the most difficult of the 3 pills. The names of the pills can be seen on the display on the jade by. Unlimited quality of medicine. The audience under the stage breathed a sigh of relief. This time if they asked for a mid-grade appearance again, most of the players on the stage would be stunned. Different from challenging the limit, the most important thing is that there are only 3 chances on the stage, that is to say, the success rate must reach more than 1/3. Gu Yao glanced at the names of the medicinal pills on the jade by. The medicinal formulas and refining steps of each medicinal pill were clearly presented in his mind. Finally, he chose the most certain medicinal pill, and he pressed button, and give the name. Blood Eden. Immediately, a staff member sent 3 pairs of materials. Even if he couldn't hear his voice, it could be deduced what kind of pill he was refining from the materials sent. Many people gasped. The cultivator suddenly became an elixir in the Mahayana period. If Guyao can successfully refine it, his value will immediately rise a few gears. There are thousands of integrated monks in the spiritual world, but it is an excellent ratio to have one Mahayana monk out of 100 integrated monks. Any medicine that helps a combined monk to break through the Mahayana is a rare thing, and it is often necessary to be combined. The cultivator robbed his head, and the alchemist who could refine this kind of medicine was even more popular. If Guyao can refine it now, then when his cultivation level rises, will he also be able to refine the best medicine pill? Many monks saw hope, and Guyao might not have to wait until he broke through Mahayana before he could make the best breakthrough pills. The eyes that looked at him became hot. In this round, everyone is more cautious when deciding on the type of medicinal herbs, even the cultivators in the later stage of fusion are the same. After replaying it in my mind, I started cautiously. Guyao was also much more cautious. He no longer put all the materials into the pill furnace and hula la quenched together as before, but proceeded in steps, first extracting the medicinal liquid separately, and repeatedly quenching and purifying to remove impurities. For him, it is not easy to refine this kind of medicine across two small steps, but at this moment, the benefits of the Qingming stone terrace are becoming more and more obvious, which greatly reduces the burden on his soul and spiritual power in the process of refining the medicine. More and more calm. The uninitiated watch the excitement. The experts, especially the second-rank alchemists present, can really see the level of these alchemists at this moment, because the medicinal pills required in this round all exceed their own spiritual power cultivation base. The demands on them are also increasing. Guyao is also one of their focus targets. It turned out that including Elder Qin and the others, they all thought that Guyao went to the last round and it was a good result, but they didn't expect that the young alchemist brought them much more than that. I'm afraid that one round will also be rushed by him. Exceeding two small steps, what kind of concept is this? The disciples of Giwen Pavilion said in amazement and admiration. If they were replaced, they would only be in a hurry, and then the three materials would be spent in the fryer, but looking at the current ancient times Haraka, although slowed down, did not panic at all. Things that are impossible for others are not necessarily possible for Master Gu. Some disciples have joined the ranks of brain-disabled fans, and they are more confident than Guyao himself. Just watch.